This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news that signs of economic underachievement seem to be cropping up everywhere. First, though, at the end of this week, we have a long weekend holiday for Labour Day. The week ahead will feature October flash PMIs from all over and the third week of Wall Street's third quarter earnings results. In the US, they'll release their September durable goods order data. Canada will chime in with a central bank rate decision, probably a 50 basis points cut. And there'll be confidence survey results from all over. Finally, South Korea will release its third quarter GDP growth rate, expected to be a bit north of 2%. Over the weekend, there were no surprises in US housing start data for September, coming in just as expected and the general level it's been for most of 2024. And Wall Street's third quarter earnings season reporting will be building with a 14% of the S&P 500 companies reporting so far, and the results are quite positive, reinforcing investor risk appetites. The US also reported its federal budget deficit for September over the weekend. It was a surplus of $64 billion for the month. For the month, receipts jumped 13% from a year earlier, while outlays sank 23%. But for the full fiscal year, it ended $1.8 trillion in deficit, with interest costs exceeding $1 trillion for the first time. At that level, the total deficit is equivalent to 6.3% of 1 year's economic activity in the country. This is up from 6.1% of GDP in 2023. Across the Pacific, China's home loan prices in their 70 major cities fell 5.7% in September from a year ago, more than the 5.3% fall in the prior month. It was the 15th straight month of decrease and the steepest pace since May 2015. Second-hand houses seem to have fallen by much more, by 10.7%. This sector won't be helping China's wealth effect. Meanwhile, China said its third quarter 2024 GDP expanded by 4.6%, marginally better than the 4.5% expected, but less than Beijing's target of 5%. They also said industrial production improved by 5.4% and retail sales are up 3.2% on the same basis. Their jobless rate fell slightly to 5.1%. And later today, China is expected to cut its loan prime rates by 20 basis points, their 10th consecutive cut since the pandemic, and to a record low. They have never raised these rates since they introduced them in 2019, only ever cuts. And China's support of equity markets has almost hit 2 trillion yuan. With the Beijing put in play, it is now not possible to read anything into Chinese equity market signals, especially when they rise. That may only indicate the size of the manipulation. And Japan said its inflation rate fell to 2.5% in September from 3% in August. This was its lowest level since April. The regular ECB survey of professional forecasters shows that expectations are low for the bloc over the next 2 years to 2026. They see inflation staying under control, economic expansion rising to only modest levels, and the jobless rate staying little changed. In Australia, suddenly their housing market seems quite fragile. This past weekend, they may have only had a 40% auction clearance rate in Sydney, a very sharp and very fast fall from their usual levels of about 70%. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 4.08% and unchanged from Saturday. And the price of gold will start today at $2,720 an ounce and up $3 from Saturday, and yet another new all-time high. And oil prices are 50 US cents lower at just over $69 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is just on $73 a barrel. These levels are $6 lower than a week ago. And the Kiwi dollar starts today at 60.7 US cents and little change from this time Saturday. Against the Aussie were 10 basis points firmer at 90.6 Australian cents. Against the euro were unchanged at 55.9 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today still just on 69.2, unchanged from Saturday at this time and little change from a week ago. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $68,582 and down 0.4% from Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been low at just under plus or minus 0.5%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.